If you've watched Minecraft speedruns anytime recently, you probably have some sort of expectation for what they look like. If you've watched Dream, Illumina, Curryway, or any of the world records we've analyzed on this channel for that sake, those expectations might be even clearer. But I'm gonna warn you now. You can throw those expectations out the window. Unless you're a full-on community member or just deep into the Minecraft speedrunning niche, this run isn't gonna look how you're expecting. Instead, you're gonna see a run where the player doesn't enter the Nether until they're already in the stronghold. You're gonna see a run where the player only kills one hostile mob in the entire run, the Ender Dragon. You're gonna see a run where the player spends over 3 minutes mining out an entire stronghold library. And you're gonna see a run where the player beats the game faster than anyone before them. And if you've never watched a Minecraft speedrun in the first place, don't worry. You're in the same boat as most of the people watching this video. When new world records happen in speed games, 99% of the time, they look very similar to the record that came before them, with a few optimizations thrown in. This is less true in Minecraft random seed speedruns, because there's so much more variance from run to run than in almost any other speed game. The last time a Minecraft world record was set that truly used an entirely new meta was all the way back in January 2021, when Corbanos was the first to beat the 1.9 through 1.15 world record using ocean strats. But on April 25th, 2022, we got a world record that definitively used a completely new meta. And it marked maybe the biggest shift we've ever seen in one run in the world record strategy. For as long as people have been speedrunning Minecraft, world record contenders in the pre-1.9 category have used a strategy called the Enderman Tower that probably looks familiar to you. If you watched Illumina's old world record, or if you've watched one of Lide's really old world records, no, not that old, there you go. Or if you've watched one of the several world records set in the past few months, you've seen runners use some form of the Enderman Tower, which is how they acquire Ender Pearls. But on April 25th, that pattern changed. For the first time ever, a non-peaceful random seed glitchless world record was set without killing a single Enderman or a single blaze. Instead, the run used strategies that had been developed over the course of several years, largely by one person, and had received almost no mainstream attention, because the innovations to the Enderman Tower meta were always just a little bit ahead. This is the story of one of the most significant world records in Minecraft history. This is Nieuh's 1816. Before we look at this world record, we need to look at who and what made it possible. The short answer to that question is Elotex and villager trading. While in modern versions of Minecraft, specifically 1.14 and 1.15, speedrunners will trade with villagers to acquire ender pearls, in older versions it was possible, though much harder, to trade for Eyes of Ender. This has potentially huge consequences, because not only do you skip the tedious methods of killing endermen until you get enough ender pearls, but you also skip killing blazes to get blaze rods, which means skipping the entire step of going to the nether. But these Eyes of Ender were much more expensive than ender pearls were in later versions, and getting the necessary amount for a fast random seed run was a tall task. Still, villager trading was seen by some as an option worth trying, and the first documented trading run was completed in April 2013, taking over 4 hours. It took place in peaceful mode, which would become the main platform for trading speedruns, as without hostile mobs, the only way to acquire Eyes of Ender was villager trading. While trading strats actually predate tower strats quickly became the dominant meta, and besides peaceful speedruns, few people were running using villager trading. The players who were made significant progress though, getting the world record under 30 minutes by 2017. This progression and many of the early developments of trading strats took place in the Japanese community, which made up 99% of Minecraft speedrunners until the game's boom in popularity around the end of the decade. What coincided with that boom in popularity was a development that would, after over 3 years, manifest itself in this new world record. A player named Elotex picked up a new category. In early 2019, Elotex decided he wanted to get a world record in an any percent category, and the category he picked was Random Seed Glitchless Peaceful. This was a harder task than he initially thought, as he quickly realized how underdeveloped the strategies in the category were. This wasn't going to deter him though, as he developed several small improvements to the meta, and after about 2 years, managed to get the world record by 2 seconds. He didn't stop there though. A month later, he completed a run in 25 minutes and 56 seconds, a massive cut to a world record that had stood over 29 minutes for the last 4 years. It was at this point that Elotex realized the potential of trading strats. While there was much more luck needed than tower strats to get a great time, which is saying a lot, the theoretical limit was much lower. In tower runs, runners are pace locked to start collecting their ender pearls by no earlier than about 10.5 minutes when the first night begins. With trading strats, no such limit exists. While a trading world record in non-peaceful RSG was possible, it was nowhere close to happening. The meta was still lacking the optimization it would take to get there. Elotex had a vision though, and he was going to stick with it as long as he needed to. After a couple more months of grinding runs himself, he got a 22-minute, 34-second run in RSG Peaceful. Many people didn't expect this time to be possible with trading strats, and while Elotex knew he had made a huge statement with this run, he had worked incredibly hard in developing new strats over the years, and they had practically all culminated in this run, leaving him still over 90 seconds short of the regular RSG world record. So, he started dedicating less of his time to runs and more of it to finding new strategies. And on June 2nd, 2021, that's exactly what he did, when he discovered the revolutionary strategy of portal travel. You see, the issue with trading strats wasn't that it couldn't be as fast as tower strats. It could theoretically be much faster. It was that such a vast number of things had to go right for a trading run to be pulled off quickly that it almost never happened. I'll explain the details of portal travel when we get to it in the run, but basically, it meant that runs with strongholds that were far from spawn were now viable for good times, and they hadn't been before. Not only did this vastly increase the amount of potentially good runs, it also improved runners' reset efficiency, or their ability to weed out runs that don't have good potential as efficiently as possible. This was a huge discovery, but after this, things were slow, with Elotex working as a self-described one-man army, and no major breakthroughs coming in the following months. A few other runners tried their hand at the category, including Lucid G and Finest Pigeon, and Lucid G even beat the trading world record with a 22:06 after a few months. But because of the grueling and unrewarding nature of the meta, it was easy to lose motivation, and soon, Elotex was again the only player grinding trading runs. But after putting in so much effort on his own, Elotex was close to where he wanted to be. And in February of 2022, he had a stroke of luck, as he discovered what he describes as one of the biggest strats in history by accident. In pre-1.9 in general, but especially in trading runs, food is an issue early in the run, as hunger depletes quickly, and given that runs happen based on desert spawns, food can be hard to acquire early on. But in pre-1.9, a glitch exists where if you punch an entity while sprinting, for as long as you don't stop sprinting, the game will think you're walking, and your hunger will deplete much, much less quickly. Similarly to portal travel, this led to many, many more runs being playable, and the likelihood of a great run happening increased again. After this, it was only a matter of time. And on March 14th, Elotex had a trading run where he entered the end at 14 minutes and 46 seconds, which beat the previous world record for entering the end by over 2 minutes. While he wasn't able to finish the run, this was a massive accomplishment, and it was the last sign we needed that it was no longer a matter of if a trading world record would happen, it was a matter of when. And the answer to that question is April 25th, 2022, by a player named Nieuh. Nieuh had started grinding trading runs shortly after Elotex had discovered the Entity Punch Hunger strat, and he and Lucid G were the two most active trading runners, along with Elotex. Notably, just one day before Nieuh's record, Lucid came very close to killing the dragon in under 18 minutes, but couldn't quite pull it off. Lucid was also the owner of the second fastest end enter in pre-1.9 history, with a 15:16. But in the end, Nieuh was the one to get the fateful run that would finally put trading on top. Without further ado, let's watch the run. Nieuh spawns right next to a plains village bordering a desert, which is a good start because the first thing players reset for in a temple run is a desert, as they'll need a desert temple. There's also a couple of lava pools nearby, which will be useful for portal travel. Nieuh increases his render distance and quickly spots a desert temple, and starts heading towards it, collecting sugarcane, which he can craft into paper and trade with a librarian villager later. The most important thing Nieuh wants from the desert temple is gold, which he needs to trade with a cleric villager to level it up for the first time. This trade can cost 8, 9, or 10 gold, depending on Nieuh's luck. If he doesn't get 8 gold from the temple, 40 rotten flesh is also enough to complete the cleric's first trade, although temples rarely have that much flesh. Nieuh gets into the temple a minute and 30 seconds into the run, and uses the TNT to blow up the chests and surrounding blocks. He gets 9 gold ingots, and not enough iron to make a full set of tools, so he blows up some stone, then heads back up to the surface. Before heading back to the village to start his trading, he stops to gather some wood, which he uses to make tools and a boat. Because mobs don't spawn in the desert, runners will bring boats with them to use for the entity punch glitch to maintain hunger, since boats count as an entity the same way that mobs do. He then stops at a lava pool to make his nether portal, which he isn't going to use to enter the nether, but which he's going to use later for portal travel. Essentially, the way portal travel works is that a player builds a nether portal in the overworld near their village, and throws an item into the portal without entering it themselves. They then travel to the stronghold, and once they reach the portal room, they build a nether portal using a water bucket and the lava underneath the end portal. There are a few methods to make the next step of the process work, but the most common one, and the one used in the world record, is to travel to the nether, place a piece of TNT, and light it with precise timing so that it explodes a split second before the player returns to the overworld. This will send the player to the original nether portal they made, placing them near the village. After they finish trading, they can use the first portal to return to the nether, and when they re-enter the portal in the nether, they will be sent back to their portal in the stronghold. Nieuh builds his portal, tosses down a block of sandstone, and writes down the chunk coordinates of the portal, which he will use to determine which method he'll use to portal travel later. After grabbing some nearby sugarcane, he heads into the village. One of the convenient things about trading with villagers is the carrot and potato farms most villages already have, which can be traded to farmer villagers for emeralds. To make things better, Nieuh can take the many bones he got from the desert temple and craft them into bone meal, which he can use to grow all the potatoes and carrots to their maximum yields before collecting them. Once he's done with this, the trading begins. First, he's gathered enough potatoes and carrots to get 10 emeralds from a farmer villager. Then, he finds a librarian and crafts his sugarcane into paper, which he trades in order to unlock the librarian's second level trades. He quickly traps the librarian and checks its book trade, where it will offer an emerald for somewhere from 8 to 10 books. This villager is offering a 9-book trade. When runners don't get an 8-book trade, if they have enough sugarcane, they'll usually trade with a second librarian to try and get a better rate, but since Nieuh doesn't have enough sugarcane, he can live with 9. Lastly, Nieuh needs to find a cleric villager, who also happens to be nearby. The proximity of these villagers and the speed with which Nieuh is able to trap them is a less glamorous, but very important part of why this run was a world record. Nieuh trades 8 gold with the cleric, traps it like the librarian, and then trades 1 emerald for redstone to finish leveling it up, so that it will offer him an Eye of Ender trade. The Eye of Ender trade can be anywhere from 7 to 11 emeralds, and if the trade is 10 or 11, runners will usually just reset. With a stroke of luck, though, the cleric offers Nieuh the best possible trade, 7 emeralds for each Eye of Ender. He buys his first eye, and already, it's time to find the stronghold. He throws the eye, marks down his exact position and the angle the eye is traveling at, then, after running a couple hundred blocks, does it again. He puts his measurements into a calculator and gets the chunk that the stronghold is in. He spends the next minute and a half traveling there, using shears to collect leaves for blocks and wool for beds for the end fight on the way. At 9:25, he finds his coordinates and digs down, where he breaks into the library of the stronghold. What he needs now is books, and lots of them, to get all the emeralds he'll need to trade for all the Eyes of Ender he'll need. With his Cleric Villager offering 1 Eye of Ender for 7 emeralds, and 1 Eye of Ender and 4 emeralds already in his inventory, Nieuh wants 74 more emeralds in order to ensure he'll have 12 Eyes of Ender, the most he might need to fill the end portal. With his Librarian offering 1 emerald for 9 books, he'll need... No, that can't be right. Just to be safe, Nieuh probably wants to get 667 books, which is 223 bookshelves. These aren't exactly easy calculations to keep track of mentally, but luckily, a Stronghold library has 233 bookshelves, and Nieuh knows he'll have enough if he digs out the entire thing. That might seem like a ridiculous thing to do in a world record speedrun, but with an iron axe, he gets through it in just under 2 minutes. Now, 13 minutes into the run, Nieuh sleeps to skip the night, makes some tools to replace his old ones, then keeps digging to reach the portal room. He puts 1 Eye of Ender in the portal, then uses his bucket and the lava underneath the end portal to make his nether portal. This time though, he's gonna enter the portal, and he's gonna use portal travel to return to his village. Just like that, he's traveled about 600 blocks in 10 seconds. Now, Nieuh is in the most intense part of the run. All of the biggest luck factors have gone right, and he can be sure at this point that he'll be able to enter the end on a fantastic pace, leaving just one factor, the Ender Dragon fight. But we're not quite there yet. Nieuh heads back into the village and trades his inventory full of books for emeralds. After trading for over a full stack, he turns the corner to find his cleric waiting patiently for him, where he's able to get the remaining 10 Eyes of Ender he needs. Finally, he'll craft his beds for the dragon fight. However, there's one small problem. He only has 3 beds. If you've watched pre-1.9 end fights before, you know that runners almost never kill the dragon with just 3 beds. But the entire run up to this point has looked nothing like what we've seen before, so why would the end fight be any different? In the blink of an eye, Nieuh travels back to the Nether, back through to the Stronghold, fills up the end portal, and enters the end at 16 minutes and 27 seconds. I haven't brought up the run Nieuh is trying to beat until now because up until this point, there's been no good way to compare their paces. But now, we can look at how in the former world record of 18 minutes and 46 seconds, Speed Nintendo entered the end at 17:09, meaning Nieuh is 32 seconds ahead of the world record's pace. With years of grinding and optimization on the line once again, it all comes down to this. Into the end, Nieuh digs up from his underground spawn, and the dragon charges him almost immediately. He's not able to set up a bed explosion to damage the dragon in time, so instead, he just runs out of the way. Because he has only 3 beds and no bow and arrow, Nieuh knows there's almost no way he can kill the dragon with what he already has. Luckily, the end comes with built-in explosives. End crystals, which live on top of the obsidian towers scattered around the end. These are much trickier to use than beds, because you have a very limited space to move in, and if you mess up, you not only get hit by the dragon, you get knocked off of the tower, meaning you have to hit a water bucket clutch to survive. Nieuh has practiced for this occasion though, and he knows what he has to do. He places a piece of TNT by a group of Endermen, sets it off, then finishes them off with his sword, getting 1 Ender Pearl. After this, right on cue, the dragon charges at Nieuh, and despite a tricky angle, Nieuh times his bed explosion very well, taking about a quarter of the dragon's health. Without stopping, Nieuh runs straight to a short tower next to him, builds up to the top of it, and without having to wait, the dragon is charging at him again. He gets fantastic damage this time, dropping the dragon below half of its health, although it's still going to take 2 more explosions to finish it off. Looking at the timer, Nieuh's still got about a minute left to beat the world record, but at any point, his luck could change, and the dragon could stop charging, so he needs to use every single chance he gets to do as much damage as possible. As if to prove this point, the dragon flies towards Nieuh, but instead of charging, just flies on past. It quickly circles back around though, and locks in this time, and with nerves of steel, Nieuh does great damage, bringing the dragon down to 1 solid explosion's worth of health. He jumps down to another low pillar, and the dragon, who's feeling very cooperative today, eagerly charges immediately, but the angle is too awkward for Nieuh to risk blowing up the crystal. With just 30 seconds left to beat the world record, the dragon could easily still ruin this run by flying away, and everything Nieuh had done in this run so far would be forgotten. But again, the dragon immediately turns around, and before you can even register what's about to happen—
Oh my god! 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 Holy fuck! Oh my god!
Nieuh has just set the first ever world record with villager trading strats in pre-1.9 RSG. With a time cut of exactly 30 seconds and a brand new meta, surely this world record will stand for a while, right? Well, no, never mind. We'll get into that in the next video. A huge congratulations to Nieuh for getting this historic world record, and a massive thank you to Elotex both for helping with this video and for putting in so much work to make this world record possible. Minecraft speedrunning wouldn't be where it is without people like you. Finally, a big thank you to anyone who made it to the end of this video, and I hope you enjoyed. As always, we appreciate your support, and I'll see you in the next one.